The New York Giants and John Harbaugh are now finalizing an agreement to make him the next head coach of the New York Giants.
It's not a bad hire. John Harbaugh's been in the NFL coaching for 18 years. He's a Super Bowl champion.
Harbaugh was going to go speak with the Titans and then possibly the Falcons. The Giants didn't want to see him make those meetings, and so they jumped to action. They negotiated long into the night.
The NFL is obsessed with vibes right now. And if you don't know what I mean by vibes, just picture a coach who looks like he runs a podcast network, wears cool sneakers, and talks about space instead of blocking. So, Mike McDaniel. If a coach doesn't look innovative, flashy, or offensive-minded, fans immediately assume he's outdated, a relic, a dinosaur, someone who still prints emails. So, Bill Belichick. And look, I get it. We've been conditioned to think that way. Here's the problem. That obsession with vibes isn't fixing teams, it's quietly breaking them. Because at some point, the NFL and the fans started confusing looking modern with being effective. That's why the Giants just did the least cool thing possible, which is probably why it's going to work. Before Vibes fans get mad, let me say this up front. Fans didn't invent this obsession, the NFL did. Think about how we experience football. We don't sit in meetings rooms, we don't watch practice installs, we don't hear how coaches talk to veterans after losses. We experience football through highlights, press conferences, social media clips, mic'd up locker room speeches that are very obviously edited to make everyone look cooler, or say, fuck the Packers. So yeah, of course the coach who has fun and looks the coolest feels like the answer. The NFL is a copycat league, and once a coach wins while looking different, teams stop asking why it worked and start copying what it looked like. That's how this starts. Pete Carroll proved you could win without screaming at grown men. Sean McVay proved youth and creativity could win fast. And from that point on, the league decided vibes meant leadership. Offense became intelligence, youth became innovation, energy became authority, and fans were sold on this idea that if a coach didn't feel exciting, he couldn't possibly be effective, which is insane, by the way, but incredibly on brand for the NFL. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Vibes coaches don't fail because they're bad coaches. They fail because they require perfect conditions in order to work. When everything lines up, they look brilliant. Early success, players buying in, the locker room's loose, everyone's smiling in the tunnel like it's a music video. But football doesn't stay perfect. A coordinator or two gets hired away, injuries start to pile up, the rosters turn over, expectations change, and suddenly the vibes don't hit the same. Because vibes aren't a system, they're an accelerant. They amplify whatever is already there, good or bad. That's why so many vibes-heavy teams peak early and then stall. And yes, even the original proof of concept showed the limitation. Pete Carroll's philosophy worked beautifully in the right place at the right time with the right roster. Go Hawks. But when that same approach was asked to restart later on in a different situation, it didn't hold. That's not an insult, it's not slander, it's just reality. Vibes age fast. Unlike Pete Carroll, who does not age. This is where people usually jump in and say, but hey, vibes coaches can win. Correct. Nobody's arguing that. The real question is, how fragile is that success? If success only works when the roster's perfect, the coordinators stay forever, and nothing ever goes wrong, that's not real stability. And the NFL is nothing but things will eventually go wrong. That's the difference that I think a lot of people miss. Winning fast and winning sustainably are not the same thing, and fans treat them like they are. The coaches who survive turbulence, they're normally not the flashiest ones. They're the adaptable ones. They win with different quarterbacks. They win with different rosters. They win when circumstances change. What they build isn't vibes, it's culture. And yeah, culture is a buzzword, but real culture isn't slogans or hashtags. It's accountability, structure, standards, credibility. It's boring, it's repetitive, it doesn't trend. But when things go sideways, and they always do, culture gives you something to fall back on. Vibes don't. And this is where the Giants come in. The Giants, right now, they didn't need a savior to come in. They didn't need a TikTok coach. They didn't need to reinvent football. They needed navigation. They already have pieces. They got a quarterback of the future, a tough young running back, legitimate number one receiver, a defensive line that can actually control games. This team isn't rebuilding from scratch. They're a lot closer than people want to admit, which is actually the most dangerous place to be. Now imagine this same roster with a vibes-first coach. They're in a brutal media market, high expectations, a young quarterback, a team that's close but not perfect. That's not where vibes thrive. That's where structure matters. That's why John Harbaugh fits. Not because he's exciting, not because he's trendy, but because he's proven he can navigate change. He's done it with different quarterbacks, different rosters, different expectations, from a young Joe Flacco to a young Lamar Jackson. That's not vibes, that's adaptability. This might not be the coach the Giants fans wanted. It's the coach the situation actually calls for. Cue The Dark Knight.
The hero. Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. Nothing less than a knight.
Sometimes the most grown-up move a franchise can make is the one that doesn't look cool on Twitter. A year from now, this hire is either going to look boring and successful, or it's going to expose how addicted fans are to aesthetics over results. Like Eagles fans. Either way, the Giants didn't chase vibes, they chased function. And in this NFL, that might be the real edge. Thanks for watching this episode of the Seattle Mike Show. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good YouTube stuff. I'm Seattle Mike on the mic. I'll catch you guys next time.